Final round. Missed question corrections. Part 14. Conduit fill. What is max amount of number 10 THW conductors allowed in 1-inch conduit? 18 max, number 12 wires in 1-inch conduit. 18 max, number 12 wire, 1-inch conduit. 18 max, number 12 wires in 1-inch conduit. 18 max, number 12 wire, 1-inch conduit. What is max amount of number 10 TW conductors in 1-inch conduit? 15. Max of 15 TW conductors in 1-inch conduit. Max amount of number 10 TW conductors in 1-inch conduit? 15. Max of 15 TW conductors in 1-inch conduit. How many conductors may go into a conduit while using 3 or more conductors? 40% fill. Conduit fill of 3 or more conductors, 40%. 3 or more conductors, 40% fill. What size rigid metal conduit is required on 3 number 3/0 conductors at 200 amps? 2-inch. 2-inch conduit used on 3 number 3/0 conductors at 200 amps. 3 number 3/0 conductors, 200 amps, needs 2-inch rigid metal conduit. What size conduit of 5 number 10 wires? 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch conduit on 5 number 10 wires. 5 number 10 wires, 1/2 inch conduit. What is the largest wire that can be pulled through 1 1/4 inch conduit? Number 0. 1 1/4 conduit, largest wire is 0. Number 0 wire is largest allowed in 1 1/4 inch conduit. What is largest size wire allowed in 3/8 flex steel conduit? Number 10. 3/8 flex steel conduit, largest wire is number 10. Number 10 is largest wire allowed, 3/8 flex steel conduit. Number 10. 3/8 flex steel conduit, largest wire is number 10. Derating factor of 4 through 6 conductors in a raceway, 80%. Derating factor of 7 through 9 conductors in a raceway, 70%. Derating factor of 4 through 6 conductors in a raceway, 80%. Derating factor of 7 through 9 conductors in a raceway, 70%. Underfloor raceway max conductor fill, 40%. Underfloor raceway, max fill, 40%. If 2-inch conduit has 3 or more conductors, max fill allowed is 1.34 inch. 2-inch conduit, 3 or more wires, max fill is 1.34 inch. Purpose of limiting wires in a conduit: prevent damaging wires when pulling or causing undue strain and abrasion. Wires limited in conduit: prevent pulling wires causing undue strain and abrasion. Max conductors allowed in sheet metal gutter before heat reduction calculation: 30. 30 max wires, sheet metal gutter, before calculate heat reduction. Sum of all wire cross-sectional area in sheet metal gutter is 20%. Sheet metal cross-section fill, 20% max. Minimum size IMB conduit of 3 number 4 wires and 4 number 1 wires? 2 inches. IMB conduit, 3 number 4 wire and 4 number 1 wires, 2 inch. 2 inch IMB conduit, 3 number 4 and 4 number 1 wires. Derating factor of conductors of light or power in raceway, 3. 3 max conductors of light or power in raceway. Minimum size conduit of 8 number 4 wires in single run, non-metallic schedule 40. 1.5 inch. 8 number 4 wires, non-metallic schedule 40, 1.5 inch minimum. Schedule 40, non-metallic, must be 1.5 inch, 8 number 4 wires. Plastic, schedule 40, 8 number 4 wires, 1.5 inch minimum. How large a box when connecting into a 4-inch raceway with straight pull? 32. Straight pull is 8 inch, connected to 4-inch raceway, 8 times 4 equals 32 box size. 3/4 inch conduit, how many number 12 TW? 15 max number 12 TW wires in 3/4 conduit. 3/4 conduit, 15 max, 12 TW. 15 max, 12 TW, 3/4 conduit. 3/4 inch conduit, how many rubber 12 wires? 8 max rubber 12 wires in 3/4 conduit. Rubber wires thicker than TW. 3/4 conduit, 8 max, rubber 12. 8 max, rubber 12, 3/4 conduit. 3/4 conduit, 15 max, 12 TW. 3/4 conduit, 8 max, rubber 12. 3/4 conduit, 15 max, 12 TW. 3/4 conduit, 8 max, rubber 12. Sum of cross-section of sheet metal gutter, not to exceed, 20%. 20% max fill of sheet metal gutter. Solid bottom cable tray, usable 6-inch depth. Multi-color conductor signal cables, may not exceed 40%. Solid bottom cable tray, usable 6-inch depth. Multi-color conductor signal cables, may not exceed 40%. Only one conductor per phase or neutral connected in parallel in the same cable tray, stop unbalance and inductive reactance. Only one conductor per phase or neutral connected in parallel in the same cable tray, stop unbalance and inductive reactance. 9 max rubber 12 wire, without outer coverings, in 1-inch conduit. 9 max rubber 12, without outer cover, 1-inch conduit. 9 max, rubber 12, no outer cover, 1-inch conduit. 9 max, rubber 12, no outer cover, 1-inch conduit. 7 max rubber 10, without outer coverings, in 1-inch conduit. 7 max rubber 10, without outer cover, 1-inch conduit. 7 max rubber 12, no outer cover, 1-inch conduit. 7 max rubber 12, no outer cover, 1-inch conduit. 5 max rubber 8, without outer covering, in 1-inch conduit. 5 max rubber 8, without outer cover, 1-inch conduit. 5 max rubber 8, no outer cover, 1-inch conduit. 5 max rubber 8, no outer cover, 1-inch conduit.